So Elon Musk, that's my dude. I feel like he's my twin in spirit. Despite us having, yes, he's in fact, what's the tint on that? As in Elon, as in his skin shade. What in fact will be that? Would that be like a vanilla? As I'm like I don't know, a caramel pudding or something like that. Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. So that's what I mentioned in my last video, because see, it's individuals that in fact fear me, and I don't blame them with that, right? Because the way that I think is more progressive. As in, I can't get into racism. I can't get into I can't really get into all that sort of thing, because technology is more advanced than the white man and the black man put together. I'm not a man, and yet I look like something. I look like, what was that thing off of that thing off of, was that Bill Cosby cartoon, that thing that had that hat over his head, and yet it had like peak holes through it? You know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. But yeah, I can't get into that sort of thing, the whole race fighting and all. That's not my type of thing. My thing is more technology advancement, right? So I'm an INTJ personality, as well as Elon Musk is in fact INTJ personality, right? And so people in fact question what an INTJ personality is. You can in fact get right on Google. I don't want to do it right here, as in pull Google up. I have access to do that sort of thing. That was my intention from the beginning, but to know I got screamed and cussed out by viewers on here, as they didn't like me doing it in that way, is to not do it, because it's too much on the eyes, as in everything is yeah. So INTJ personality, let me put, this is in fact a chill session, as in the video, because to move through the video, work through it slow, is to say what even that. So Elon Musk is, as we know, the owner over there of Tesla, and then you got SpaceX, right? And yet people misunderstand him just the way that they misunderstand me. See the look at, well, you can't really see because it's not really blown up. Hopefully it is by the time I upload this video, right? But the look in Elon's face, this thing called the death stare, is when Elon looks, as well as many of us INTJs. One way to recognize, not completely, it's only 2% of us all across the globe, for y'all that don't know that. One way to recognize an INTJ is this thing called the death stare. And I'm using Elon Musk as an example because he's world renowned. And so to know that he's an INTJ, like so many of us in the 2% population, right, is to put him there to explain it. Two things about us is that death stare, as in a vacancy, right? When you look at Elon, right? Not too much emotion is expressed when he talks, right? Is the way I can be. So many of us can. As well as the monotone voice. Pay attention to how Elon talks sometimes. The monotone voice, what I mean is sometimes many of us INTJs can in fact talk lifted, the way that I'm talking lifted, right? And yet sometimes our tone can drop. The tonality of our speech can drop because that's the logical and reasoning within our brain hijacking our brain. Does that make sense? People who are not INTJs more so think emotionally, right? They feel emotionally, right? We INTJs don't. We in fact, when it comes to, when I say living through our emotions, that means we don't usually feel our emotions. We're not feelers, like what they call sensors. That's what they call when you live very emotionally, right? We INTJs don't really feel our emotions. We in fact think our emotions. So if I feel some sadness, I in fact am not feeling the sadness. I'm in fact viewing the sadness. It's like I'm seeing it right before my eyes, just like the picture. As in the feeling is there, but I can't really feel it. I'm seeing it with my eyes is what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense. Internally. We're more logically structured. So to live more logically and think more forward, and that is to say we're not going to put emotion into everything like the majority of the rest in society who are in fact fillers. So INTJ, I have to say that because in interviews, when Elon does his interviews, he appears very robotic. And sometimes I myself can appear that way, as I've been told. You need to work on your speech pattern. You need to work on some emotion, get some feeling about you, put some spunk or something into you so that you appear less robotic. And please stand up straight. And not only that, stop talking flat. Why do you talk so flat, right? So the INTJ personality, let me go back to this. Because I'm pulling it up on my phone just to let you know. We are in fact a minority. I just wanted, that was the main point of me making this video, for you to pay attention the next time you see Elon. Pay attention to his mannerism when he's doing interviews. That should be the focal point. Anytime Elon talks, you will want to, because that's gonna in fact stand out to you the most, more than anything. So the INTJ, what is all that? Can somebody find they rooster or something? Don't you start, because I'm not even. Roosters deserve to live out on the roof. As in, if this dog start barking, that's in fact where he's going, out on the roof. Moving on. So some issues that I in fact sometimes have, as well as I'm sure Elon Musk has, and yet because he's a public figure, he can't show it. I have a tendency to be rude sometimes, as well as blunt. I'm non-emotional at times. I'm not really a touchy-feely type of person, as in I don't really like people, what's the word? Kind of hanging on me like this, as in physically. Now standing next to me, that's one thing, but to be like all on, because then I can't really breathe, right? And so yeah, it helps to say who you are. I like stuff like that because it shows. I'm highly intuitive. This is another thing while I was online that I posted. I said I wish Elon in his interviews would speak about what he's in fact gifted with. The reason why he's able to come up with ideals extraordinary. In an extraordinary fashion, right? He in fact possessed the same gift I do, which is in fact, it's built internally. It's called introverted intuition. It's where you're not scanning, but introverted intuition in fact scans your environment for information outside of you. As in, sometimes you don't even need to go take a look in a book for stuff in which you need, as in it comes right to you, which is scary. Introverted intuitions, INTJs have it, yes, as well as I believe INTPs have introverted intuition, as well as INTJs, and I believe INFJs have that sort of thing as well, the built-in introverted intuition. We can just know something by just knowing, as in we don't need to be told or anything else, we'll just know, right? And it's all internal, sensing, feeling, everything. And not only that, we're able to see. Some are in fact INTJs able to see, as in many in fact plan up to 30 years ahead. I myself, I can say something right now that might in fact occur 2 years from now, right? 10 years from now. I always am focused. I can't live in the moment. I can never live in the moment. I'm always future based, focused on the future, as in what is out there. That's why I'm able to override personal problems. How some people stand right in my face and I can be rude and blunt and going off sometimes when I hear people discuss personal issues they're not gonna fix. because they don't want to fix them. They just whine and complain, right? And yet I don't. While they're speaking, I'm more forward thinking, as in that too is INTJ, thinking 10 years ahead, right? Because I say, look, I'm going to plan this for 10 years, is to say that more likely can be a possibility. INTJ also means planning, forward thinking, thinking ahead and not thinking about the past, as in who did you wrong 4 or 5 years ago, because that can't feed into my future, as in it can't propel me into my future, so why consider it, right, as part of the plan. Highly perceptive is another thing. We INTJs are able to see things in which other individuals are not, other personality types, because we're highly perceptive, right? Which is how you end up working for mass media, because to be highly perceptive, that's not a put down to other personality types. No, it's not. So don't get angry or bitter when I say that. Each personality has a treasure within, which is to be given to society, right? We in fact each personality of the 16 personalities, right? All personalities possess some special gift that is to be placed out here in the world, right? And I'm just naming what mine is, because some will get mad and say, well, you put me down. I didn't put you in. I didn't say your name, so I'm not putting you down. INTJs, 3% of men and 1% of women. Did you get that? There's more men INTJs than there are in fact women. When it comes to hobbies, more so I prefer reading and writing as my hobbies. That's odd in itself. And I promote Janet Jackson as well. With that's not a hobby. No, that's in fact a real advertising agency, right? When it comes to, yes, hobbies, INTJs, we're known to live online, which is why too this setup is more upgraded, needs more upkeep, right? I know. And yet we're more future based pertaining to how we are online. Let's see. Yes, logical, self-confident, all that sort of things. When it comes to a higher power, I'm more likely to believe more in self than I am to give my power over to something else. Maybe something does exist out there. I'm not saying that it doesn't, right? But to know I gotta get myself out of problems as it's happening, as I say it, even that takes a lot of energy, thought processes, and work. And so I can't be giving all my whatever to whoever outside of me. I in fact have to take that myself, the credit, I'm saying. Sometimes my weaknesses, and I'm sure this is Elon's issue too overly analytical. And I noticed that in one of his interviews when he was standing there with his kids, and one of the kids was in fact crying. I think the kids were in fact crying and fussing, and he started talking in an analytical fashion about even his kids. Their mother was standing there as well. He was trying to explain the reason of how the kids would act, with how they would act, but the way that he was explaining it was almost like on a scientific level in place of a daddy level, right? I'm sure Elon can be a perfectionist. Dislike talking about emotions, that's another one. Can seem insensitive. There's an advancement process. Did I say that? I think I did say that did I say that at the beginning of the video, or did I say it in my last video at the end, where I said I would design a car and build a ATM machine within the car? I said that already, didn't I? Build an ATM machine within a Tesla car and have a chip within your body which can not only control the car remotely, but as well as that chip will be able to control stuff within your work environment, such as whatever business that you own, as in that chip within your body will gain access remotely to not only control your business activities while you're away from your business, but control various things within your home as well. Is that scary or is it not? That's Elon Musk type of thinking. And I had to point that out because I never know. Remember, I don't know Elon Musk Elon Musk personally, but I can guess just how he even thinks in his free time, in his mind. Because we INTJs spend a lot of time in our mind, and it's all about inventions. Another thing that I said, I know this video is all over the place, it's scattered because I'm scattered brain, right? When I said I would design a home which spins 360 degrees, it spins while you're able to look out the window, and not only that, all windows within the house will roll down as you choose them so remotely, right? And not only that, I would have plants within the home which can in fact maintain themselves. There's all type of things that's not even the half of it. When I said state of the art when it comes to dialysis, of what I would invent pertaining to people that have to go to dialysis centers, yes, dialysis. When it comes to those that in fact have diabetes and all the rest, so that they won't have to go to dialysis centers, I said I would in fact invent a chip within the body which can filter and detoxify as well as purify everything within the body, as well as get rid of waste. As in something you're basically mechanicalized within your body, right? Your body is going to go through a filtering process, as in to weed everything out of the body through the kidneys and the urines and all the rest, right? Did you get that? Where a chip will be embedded within the body and not needing a hookup process. That sort of thing can affect, because to neutralize waste within the body as well as get rid of it, is to say that sort of process can take place, as in it can be done. And yet that's in the future. And yet who's to say as in who would want that sort of thing? Because even elderly patients fear robotics. I'm a highly robotic thinking individual. I just haven't said it on this camera. I can sit on this camera for days and tell you what I'm thinking, and possibly scare even you, dear viewer. Because I come up with my own ideals and I don't wait for anybody else. I bring the future to me, as in I'm standing in it, right? As well as Elon is. Let's see what else. My butt is starting to hurt because I need to be sitting on something. As in a pad. It's sitting right here, but I don't want to sit on it. Let's see what else. Yeah, because see, sometimes nerdy people are not liked, and I get that. The popular INTJ careers, you're asking: scientist, mathematician, engineer, dentist, doctor, teacher, judge, lawyer, and more. I will put advertising and or marketing out there as well. Because to be a chess player in the mind is to say what you can do. As in, many INTJs need to in fact stop holding themselves back. They go by what the pure definition is of an INTJ, and many of them in fact stick within that instead of delving outside. As in reaching further in potential and place a stain within the box. We are some of the most self-sufficient people. As in, we don't need somebody else to lift our self-esteem. We do it ourselves, right? Which can be taken as conceited. Yeah, I've heard people say that. You come across conceited. No, I just know that self-fulfilling prophecy is real. As in, anything that I put constantly out there in the atmosphere about myself is going to happen. That's why in the past I wasn't so well off in the past in relation to how I spoke to myself in front of other people. Now I might laugh and joke in front of you on this camera and say, well, I'm a loser about this, but that's just a joke. I make up for it by speaking highly on myself, is what I'm saying. And I'm sure even Elon himself does the same, because even words hold power. They just do. Love relationships is hard to get to know us. Individuals who are INTJs, because we tend to be so distant. Like, we in fact focus a lot of our efforts on what it is we do, more so than getting close with others. because we know that once we put our mind to something, we can in fact do it, and yet it's going to be for the betterment of everyone and just not ourselves, right? Being strong-willed and self-assured, those are two things I in fact am. I'm very strong-willed and I'm very self-assured, as in if it takes me 24 hours to figure out something and longer, it can be 5 to 10 years from now, trying to figure out something till I get to it, I will in fact do that. Even if nothing else exists, I'm gonna put my head forward with that sort of thing, right? What else can I pull out on the INTJ? Because I've seen videos on YouTube, and yet I wanted to make one myself that was kind of different, as in elaborate. Why? There's so much to be said, but it's not enough time for that, right? We're always driven to improve ourselves. That's in fact a fact. Snarky, I can be that, as in a slap in the face. I do that with people that make me mad or piss me off, right? I'll use them to my advantage in comedy, as in just, slight them the way that they slighted me after they slighted me, right? I can be very, very loyal depending on who the person is. I'm not gonna invest a whole lot in you if we're not on the same, if you don't view us as equal, is what I'm trying to say. If I'm putting in investment into you and yet you're not willing to do the same for me, I'm not gonna be all on you like that. That's a no-go. Being open-minded, I'm highly open-minded, as I'm willing to accept all and every. I don't care what it is, right? Notice I mentioned the Amish people who, yes, the lifestyle with that sort of thing. I'm just a very open type of person. I more likely will stand and talk with a homeless person before I talk to a hater. But yeah, I will stand and talk to a homeless person, no matter how itchy and smelly they are in front of me as they're standing there. I would give them my whole attention. A homeless person, right? Because to know that they are in fact not given much attention to begin with, homeless people, is to stand right in front of their face and talk to them. But more so, let them talk to me so that they can be heard, right? Homeless people, not too many people know that. They walk right past homeless people and fail to see them and wonder why they're homeless. Sometimes them people have issues. Could be mental illness, it could be whatever, right? And that's to say they might in fact need to be heard, which could be why they're homeless in the first place. Some people in fact walk away from home, run away from home because they're not given attention and all the rest, right? They haven't been loved since day one. So they just go strike it out on their own somewhere else, right? And sometimes it leads to them being homeless. They're not given love, attention, and affection, so that's why they're there. That's why it helps not to judge, because those people could in fact be on the same level as you. Homeless people, I'm saying, and you not know it. The only difference is they weren't given love and attention and all the rest, and yet you were, right? So I don't put myself above homeless people. I never have, as in I give to them when I see them. And I even made a video right here going off on a man that was in fact killed, a homeless man at a gas station. He was in fact killed by some asshole. Yes, that beat him with a baseball bat. That was last year, I think, when I made the video, September or something like that. And I didn't like that because a loser killed him just because the homeless man walked up on the loser and asked the loser for change. The homeless man walked up on him and asked him for change, loose change. Who does that? That's to say that the man that killed the homeless man, that man that killed that homeless man was in fact beneath that homeless man that he killed. That's just wise enough to say. Because to say that you should have in fact not only offered that homeless man something, but because you were a grown man and you were driving a vehicle, is to even have asked him, is there any place that he would like to go? The homeless man. And yet that failure loser didn't do any one of the two. He killed him on the spot while surveillance tape picked it up. That's loser mindset. People like that I can't be bothered with, as in I shun them while putting homeless people above them. That's just me. So what else? Yes, noticing little things. anything is in fact possible. My IQ is in fact 130. And 130 IQ does not mean intellect. No, it does not. It in fact means problem solving in the realm of pattern recognition. How well are you able to recognize patterns? High IQ 130 is not intellect. No, it is not. It's being able to recognize patterns, in which even Elon Musk is able to do. Because for somebody to stand and talk to me and say, well, you don't seem like the most intelligent person out here, that's because, to keep it real, I in fact am not, and yet I can solve just about any problem you hand to me. And if I really sit down, as in take the time, you never know, possibly help solve cancer. And I'm saying this not to be too above myself. I could possibly help solve cancer if I put my mind to that, as in give me enough time to do. With even that, despite all my daily affairs getting in the way, is because to know where's that? To know that certain devices, such as this, as in handheld devices, this is in fact a type of metal, like a nickel. To know that devices like this, nickel, in fact, causes cancer. Not too many people know that. Using nickel, that's what I use. That's in fact what I listen to. What I just showed you, that's not naming no names. I'm not going to name any names. But to know they're in fact good, as in I buy from them. As in that's in fact a recommendation, right? I just keep that in covering. I keep what I listen to in a cover, so it's not always on my hand. I advise other people to do the same. But to know that electronic devices oftentimes carry nickel in high volumes, and to know that high volumes of nickel in fact causes cancer, is to say you might in fact want to reverse that sort of thing. As in a lot of our electronics in fact once again carry nickel. Even nickels have nickel, right? As in change and other stuff like that, whatever you carry, metals and all the rest, right? Those are in fact cancer causing objects. The nickel, I'm saying, things made out of metal with the nickel, right? And so to know that causes cancer is to in fact reverse that by finding something else as its replacement, if we can going into the future. What can in fact replace nickel so that less people, or even more people, could not be walking around with cancer? I allow you, the viewer, to leave me a word, as in drop one with that in the comments section. I think too far in advancement with that, which is why people don't like me, because while they're going around doing foolishness and all the rest, I'm trying to focus on bigger things, as in bigger issues. To know that cancer can be resolved in some way is to pull nickel out of the equation. And yet, once again, scientifically, what else is going to be placed there to replace that? Because to pull something is to put something else there, not with it, but in its place, right? Not too many people think about what I just said. And yet they'll get mad at me and try to say something. Oh, you think you're that? No, I don't think I'm anything. Because to know even family members and all the rest is dying from cancer or have died is for me to even put my mind to even what I just said. As in, pay attention with that. And what I wish, I get it. I wish more scientists, when I said INTJ careers, how many INTJs are drawn to science. Notice I'm here with discovery, right? This right here is not the only thing that I do for discovery. They're just things that I do. It's more things behind discovery, in which I'm not speaking on. And yet, being an INTJ drawn to science, that's our natural, that's internal, right? That's just what we're drawn to, right? I just sense and feel more scientists need to be a little bit more hip and cool. As in, if you're a mad scientist, be a mad scientist. Despite what society feels, whether young or old, right? Even young people are obtaining degrees very young, right? Some people feel you don't need a degree to be a scientist. Hey, do it how you feel, right? People that are into natural things, natural substances and all the rest, right? You got people that's outside of the lane of practicing science, that field where you don't need to have a degree to be a scientist, right? I agree and disagree, right? I'm on both sides with that, however you choose, right? I'm rolling and skidding with that, right? But I just feel that more scientists need to be a little bit more hip and cool, because to know that we're behind in society is to say that we're in fact behind in life as a society, right? That's to say the future generations are going to in fact look at the scientists. And if something, say a scientist, yes, I can be dry. In fact, I'm not a scientist myself, but I can be dry and boring sitting on this camera, and yet scientists. That sort of thing should be forged in with pop culture is what I'm trying to say. When I think of the Sprite commercial, it should have something with a Discovery imprint set on top of it. Commercials. Sprite here in 2019, or Pepsi or Coke or something. Something, and put a scientist there as well. Exploding stuff and popping it off, and keep it there constantly. That way young kids can watch that. And not only that, possibly put some scientists with some rappers and some songs. May the rappers be both black and white. White and black, however you do. Macklemore, Logic, who's some other rappers? Future, I don't know, Katy Perry, she's not a rapper. These scientists need to be branded with some of these pop culture figures. That way when the kids watch the celebrities and they see the scientists side by side, some people might say, well, that's painting the scientists and portraying them in a negative light. No, it's not. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But think again, even science is a dirty work. Dirty man's job, dirty woman's job, dirty hand job, whatever. It's dirty work, right? As well as pop culture is dirty work. So why not set them side by side? Because even kids can learn in that. If you was to take a scientist and put them right side by side with Katy Perry or who else? Jake Paul, Logan Paul, whoever. Put the scientists, whatever, next to them. Make them be friends or whatever. Constantly seen, right? Kids are going to be drawn to the sciences, and we can help forward society as a whole. Because now, not only does that help impact technology as well, but more kids are going to want to dig in with that. That's how you speed up cultures. Tech cultures, I'm saying. And even young cultures. And if there's rivals and even that, is to say, well, play the game and do it right, right? Who don't know that sort of thing? Because if these kids continue to sit back, I'm sorry for waving my phone, but if these kids continue to sit back and just watch entertainment, and yet they don't put nothing there, as in feed society with something such as tech, as it say, well, society in the end and the future is going to be failure. Listen to me, mark my words when I say people need not to just sit back and watch entertainers. I don't just watch Janet Jackson. I in fact promote Janet Jackson. With even that, across all platforms when I'm on social media. And not only that, I put tech stuff with her. And I too take Elon Musk, knowing that I'm INTJ just as Elon Musk is, and I set his face as well as her face side by side with my face. Well, that's a top and bottom. I usually, yes, put Elon at left and put Janet up top above me, and put me up under her, right, to show us off, because there's no way for me to sit and promote and watch Janet Jackson and all the rest and not put no technology there for young people to see, because they should in fact want to have interest in tech. Black and white, white and black, however you choose to mix it with a spoonful with that. Because see, as the older generation falls off and dies off quickly to the grave, right? And that's not saying they should. No, I ain't saying that. Don't get mad. I'm sure it's probably somebody older watching me. Somebody, in fact, has to replace the older generation in technology. And I don't like how these younger kids is sitting back just watching famous people, and yet they're not doing anything that's going to help forward us. That's going to be an issue. I can see it coming. I can see it coming. What is that noise? Oh, mathematicians as well. INTJs are known to become, right? More than anything, computer programmers too. Yes. Because see, many computer programmers who are INTJs in fact use what is considered a flashes of insight, which is also called that eureka moment, where you have that aha moment. Aha. That's what Oprah herself like to say. Aha. I just had a moment where I was trying to figure out whatever, and it just came to me in a split second. Now the problem is solved through that aha moment. Many INTJs in fact work in computer programming with that flashes of insight, as in they're hired for that sort of thing. That's in fact a special gift as well. That points and ties into with introverted intuition, and yet it's not one and the same, right? Not completely. Some consider it to be, and yet it's not. It's just where information comes to you so fast, you're able to solve what the average is not able to solve. And so to be a programmer, coder, or whatever in between is to say problem solving is in that programming. And Apple and anybody else would want to hire INTJs that have that, because once the mind speeds up, my mind speeds up so fast it almost appears illogical, and yet I start solving all type of things in which answers come to me right away, in which sometimes I haven't even known and seen years back. And when I write, another thing about INTJ writers, when we write, we in fact foretell the future. Not psychic, we in fact foretell the future, as in what is going to come even in our writing, which is why I'm known to write stuff out on my social media accounts and leave it there as a diary. That way I can come back and know what is going to come, because I do that sort of thing, which is odd and weird in itself, and it's scary once it in fact happens. The things that I know sometimes 5-6 years before. Remember, I've been on Facebook since 2007, 2008. I had MySpace as well, and yet I've had internet since like 1995, 96. My very first internet usage platform was in fact web TV, MSN, and all the rest, right? Helps to show who you are, so that people know, so they can gain a bigger scope. Because if you never know and show who your personality type is, people won't know how to take you, as in they will fail to take you. And not only that, stuff in fact cause arguments when you don't tell people what your personality type is, because some personality types in fact get along well and better with others than they do with others. Sounds like a horoscope, and yet it's not. It's in fact truth. Because to know all this is in fact perception, and it goes and delves deeper than that. To know that whoever in fact has been running this country since the beginning of time, and even this globe, is to say even those individuals studied and have studied mindsets, as in the way we think. Remember, most of us in fact came from tribes. All of us in fact come from tribes. Came from tribes, right? Came from Africa as well, whether you want to believe or don't believe that. Well, the white man was in fact in Africa. He in fact was. As well as black people was in fact in Africa and all the rest, right? We all come from the motherland, right? And so to know that sort of thing is to know that we all came from tribes, right? And yet we all think differently and have thought differently why we were in fact in tribes, right? And yet even the thinking processes had to be studied since the beginning of time by individuals that were practicing scientists even back then, before they knew they were in fact going to title a scientist what it is today. Because to know that you're in a tribe is to say, where's other people that think like me and yet not completely. And then we have a rival as our enemies outside of our tribe that we have to look after to make sure they don't attack us. We have to be on the awareness and pursuit, right? Tribes in the beginning of times had to not only follow their own mindset, as in their own thinking processes, as well as those within the tribe, but as well as those on the outside of the tribe. Whether they were outside the tribe, whether they were not enemies or whether they were enemies, right? The thought process, yes, as in paying attention to tribes, whether in rivalry or not, right? Because to fail to pay attention is to know that your rival can in fact get over on you, which is why we have competition even in today, right? Even in marketing. Corporations such as Walmart versus whoever, Amazon or whatever, right? However you choose to look at with that situation, right? And yet, it just helps to pay attention to the wider scope, if you see where I'm going with this. Don't fall off the train track or even the roof of what I'm trying to say to you, where people don't see, well, how did a scientist become to be? How did this person become a world leader and yet I didn't become whatever, right? The thought processes. I have to view other people just as much as I view myself, as in know and understand how they think. That's the psychology nature, behavioral science. Knowing what a reaction is going to be, as in time only tells, right? Somebody might go off on me. Somebody could be kind or sincere towards me, right? All that went on in the beginning of time, even in the heart of Africa, between tribes and all the rest, right? It helps to think differently and knowing, right? And so all this all points together in a whole picture. No ammunition involved, right? Of how you see people and perceiving people. As in, there's more than meet the eye. That's in relation to perception. That's in fact what discovery sells, as well as the news in relation to mass media and all that, right? I help people in awareness, as in to let them know, as in to understand there's always more, right? There's just so what I was, let me rewind back and say in relation, because I'm getting all the way off in relation to psychology. But what I'm saying is why it's vital to know that psychology, such as personality types, are in fact real, such as the Myers-Briggs test and all the rest. That in fact is real, because I know that has been invented by somebody that has individuals that have been studying mindset since the beginning of time, knowing that tribes existed, and they were looking and studying outside tribes as well as within tribes since the beginning of times. It's to say that even in tribes, there's always a leader, 1 leader, 2 leader, 3 leaders in a tribe. And since the beginning of time, there always have been. Those individuals know how people think, as in perception. That's how the Myers-Briggs test and all the rest have been built and structured off of that, as in what I just said. Because to lead something is to know people are in fact going to follow you, right? You're in fact molding their mindset. So once you have them take a Myers-Briggs test, is to say you in fact molded their mindset. Not only that, the test comes later, right? I keep repeating that because there's people that in fact that don't believe in Myers-Briggs test. And yet they're in fact public figure giants and all the rest that are helping to mold and direct and guide our mindset, as in they're picking up too, as well as how we think. And that's how you incorporate that on a test for individuals to test and for you to take how they're thinking. For my thought processes to be molded while I'm living in America, right? And even my ancestor have been. It's to say even a television can mold my thinking and thought processes. That's why it's there, right? Either for good or bad, depending on which channel I watch and the reason. Even radio, right? Even print, magazines and all the rest. Even digital, online, magazine, ebooks, right? It's to say I'm going to have a formed mindset. Perception, personality, as in the way I think. My mindset is more likely going to meet other individuals that might in fact share the same mindset as me, or maybe not. And that's where the tests come in once again. Myers-Briggs. S you can put at the end. I put an S, whatever, right? All that in fact goes and flows together. Their discovery, right? I just don't see why people don't believe in that sort of thing. I'm with a mass media corporation which helps mold mindsets in the realm of not controlling you, not dictating your thoughts, no, but educating you. Providing substance there to see that the world is bigger than what you possibly are not used to seeing, as well as a travel channel does the same, owned by Discovery Inc. as well, right? Placing there what you might in fact have not seen before, even if you want to watch or don't, right? But it's taking a step outside of what you're used to. That's mindset as well. And yet to know that personalities are all different and not everybody thinks the same is to say, once again, it points back to personality type. So never doubt a personality type, because you and I are in fact different. Remember, I said I don't really believe and search for a higher power. I look within, and yet you, the viewer, might in fact view a higher power and search outside for a higher power more than within. Despite them saying that God or whoever exists within, I can respect you with even that. Or I have respect for even you with that, right? Personality types is so vital. It makes you or can break you depending on what you believe in, as in how powerful you believe your own thoughts are. Remember, even personality type stands behind the thought processes, as in it stands and deliver, because what's in the heart and the mind in fact comes out, and minds in fact come out into the program. So I think that's all to be said for now. This right here just touched on the basics. It doesn't touch on a full scope because there's not enough time. I will be on here for 3 hours, but to do a video that long, as I say, it's going to take forever to upload, which is why I'm cutting the video short. But yes, consider when you watch Elon Musk, pay attention to him. You can in fact learn something. You can in fact learn various things, as well as if you're on social media, find out where he is and follow, as in, yes, be guided by even him, because he's a smart man. Elon Musk, SpaceX, and Tesla. So I think that's a shout out as well as endorsement from my own and Discovery ON to Elon Musk. So leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know what's going on with you today. How are you? Hopefully you're good. I'm all well is good, and I think I'm going for now.